Good evening, everybody. Brother Ed coming to you once again this evening from Louisville, Kentucky, with American Stealth and the news you can use. Now, tonight might be news, might not. Some of you may have already thought of these things, but I just wanted to come on here and offer some thoughts of some things that we should be thinking about, and hopefully, those of us who are able can prepare for these events if the time comes that it gets as bad as it may get, that we might need to prepare for these. Now, we need to take some things into consideration that we may not have given some thought to, because sometimes things, some things just seem so unlikely and so out of the ordinary that you're just not thought of. First of all, we are going to have to take the criminal element and the mentally impaired into account. There are going to be a lot of people who are accustomed to getting street drugs that are not going to have access to them if this virus takes out as many people as it could. Those people are going to be dangerous, especially those that are addicted to methamphetamine. They're going to be very dangerous. That stuff really does some serious damage to the brain. So, all I can say is have weapons, and, we have to think about very dangerous criminals that if it gets to the point that there's no electricity and no running water, which if there's no electricity, there won't be any running water, because the water company runs on what? Electricity. So, what do you think is going to be done with prisoners? It's hard to say. We really don't know what's going to be done with them. Would they just be left in their cells to rot? Or would the doors be unlocked and everybody just be let out? There's no way to know what is going to be done in that kind of a situation. So, just to be on the safe side, it is better to be safe than sorry. It's better to be prepared ahead of time, just in case, than to not be. That's why I say stealth weapons and firearms both are going to be a necessity. You may not necessarily need firearms for hunting small game like rabbits and squirrels and what have you, but you will need firearms to protect yourself from dangerous people. And not only from dangerous people, but dangerous animals. This is something that a lot of us just don't think about depending on where we live. But if you live in any big city, chances are you've got a zoo with a lot of wild animals and some really big cats that are going to get really hungry. I've never been to a zoo in my life that didn't have lions, tigers, leopards, cheetahs, jaguars, cougars. I'm talking big and dangerous cats. You may very well need a firearm to protect yourself from a really big cat. That's not even to mention dangerous bears like grizzlies, polar bears. You know, if they survive, that is. A grizzly bear probably would. Polar bear in this climate, I don't know. They might survive by breeding with creating a new species or hybrid species and breeding with the grizzlies. I've heard of that kind of thing actually happening in the wild. Either way, there are going to be dangerous animals that we will need to protect ourselves from, because let's face it, if it gets as bad as it could, there won't be anybody there at the zoos to keep everything under control with these dangerous wild animals. So if you are not an animal whisperer, or somebody that just really has a way with wild animals, it's one thing to have a way with domesticated animals, but it's something very different to have a knack for dealing with wild, dangerous animals. So, there we have that. I mean, just prepare as best as you can, because these are situations that we all could potentially find ourselves in. It just depends on how bad this gets. And this being a disease that the human body has never seen before, there is a very good likelihood that a lot of people are not going to make it. And with the influenza virus of 1918, a lot of people died. The hospitals were overwhelmed, the morgues were overwhelmed. And it could very well get that bad again with this one. And I think it's likely that it will. I hate to say that, but I really think that it's likely. Even if it doesn't, wind up being something that is going on all year long, even if it turns into, let's say, a seasonal influenza like the other that we have, that still would be a really bad thing, because a lot of people that get it in the fall and winter are going to die in the fall and winter. That's just the way that it would be. We have to prepare for these things, and for what we may have considered in the past to be unexpected may very well be some things that we should expect. Dangerous people, dangerous animals. Some people don't really act a whole lot different than dangerous animals. Believe me, I know. I saw some of those on the bus today. At any rate, get what you need while the getting is good. Because, I don't know, we don't know how long it could be before we may not be able to get what we need. So, get it now while you can. In the meantime, trust in God, because He will be there for you when nobody else will. I would suggest also very strongly that and do this the wise way. You can talk to your neighbors and get a feel for who you think you can and cannot trust, to try and develop a more solid community in the event that these kind of things happen. But don't be telling anybody what you have in your house, as far as food and what have you. Don't want to do that, because people that you're trying to make an ally of, if they know too much about what you have when they don't have, they could pretty quickly turn into an enemy that you don't need. So, don't tell people too much about what you do actually have in your own home. Just, try to make some allies, and hopefully, if it gets as bad as I'm expecting that it will, then you'll have a more solid community, and you can have, a cooperative community where people are actually sharing what they have with each other. But again, you don't want to let people know too much about what you have. If you want to say, oh, I've got a month or so worth of stuff stocked up, when you've actually got 3, 6, or more, that would be a wise thing to do. You don't want people knowing too much about what you got. Be wise. Be in prayer. Be at peace. Be prepared as much as you can. And don't stop praying. Don't stop looking to God for guidance, because may come a time when He and you are the only ones that you got to guide you. Till next time, Bro Ed the Red, signing out.